welcome to the Bella Grace podcast, where we are empowering you to. Now I've got to come up with a new tagline because we are rebranding. Yay! So it has been about 6 months since we have done a podcast episode. And that was because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with this podcast. And and the answer was I am bringing on a co-host. And here she is, Rosie. You guys, welcome. You might remember her from her episode where we talked about her past and her traumatic experiences as a child and how she's overcome those. And so if you haven't listened to her episode, I highly suggest it. Go back. I'll link it in the show notes, and you can re-listen to her podcast or listen to it for the first time.
I listened to it 5 times. It's that good. Okay. Not because I love to hear myself talk, but because I was just like,
I feel like I learned something different from it, like a different lesson every time. I know a lot. Yeah. I heard something else, and I was like, oh, this, that.
Yeah.
So if you're watching online, just an FYI, my cat is going crazy with the plant that Rosie brought for the podcast.
He's right here.
So that's what is happening back there in the background. But anyway, we're going to have to rebrand the podcast tagline. I had come up with one, and now I can't for the life of me think of what it was. I believe it was like Bella Grace podcast, helping you transform your life, mind, body, and soul. So that's kind of what we're here to do. Mind, body, and soul. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because everybody wants to be healthy, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody, I feel like that's so big in our culture right now, is like striving for physical and mental health.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to
the overall well-being.
Yeah.
Just wanting to feel good, just wanting to be better.
Yeah, overall. And so, like, that's really what we want to do here. And so, in the past, we kind of focused on addiction recovery and sobriety, but I really want to open that up because I really think that some people are struggling in life. And they use different things
different
to
substance, different things.
Not cope.
Yeah.
They use different things to cope.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily heroin or pot or alcohol, right? They may be exactly, if you're listening only, she just pointed to her phone. And that, I mean, so many of us are, you've fasted social media.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So why did you fast social media? Like, what drove you to do that?
Okay. So, it was brought to my attention from, I don't want to say any names, but it was my husband and my kids were complaining about me spending extra time on social media, and they were like, you gotta cut it out or we need a new mom. No, just kidding. That's not what they said. But that's how I felt like, because I was spending a lot of time on my social media. I was constantly, but it wasn't even on my social media. It was my phone, okay? Because I was checking emails, replying to text messages, calling people back, or I was scrolling on social media a little bit. Maybe like, I would go in there and check a notification or a message, and then I'm like, ooh, I like this outfit, or I would go and watch reels and then send it to my sister. We would exchange, and it's like 5 minutes turn into 30 minutes to an hour, and then it's like, okay, I saved a lot of recipes, a lot of workouts I'm not gonna do at the gym, and I have saved little outfits that I'm probably not gonna wear. I just like them, but
yeah, if you look at our Pinterest boards, we look like we are the healthiest, fittest, cutest, most well-dressed.
It's not. No. I think it's just, I think we want to be those people, but, I mean, who are we kidding? We can only hope to be those people, and I think that's the thing about creating those boards, because it's like, well, I'm like this, but I could be more like this, and I want to be like this, but So for me, I had to fast social media because it was consuming me, and it was, you know, not just the emails and everything, but social media was a big part of that.
Yeah.
And I also fasted from coffee because I love coffee, so I drink 1 cup of coffee a day, and it's usually in the morning and on my way to work or during work in the morning. But I was just like, you know what? These things are really hard for me because they are part of my day-to-day thing. It's something that I do, and I don't realize that it's something that, you know, maybe could be affecting a part of me, or taking time from my family, or just I was like, let me see what will happen if I fast.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
So for 21 days, I did prayer, I did worship, and I didn't have coffee, I didn't log on social media. It was really hard. But what I learned in those days was discipline. And it was really hard because I was like, I mean, no lie, I did go in, and I didn't. You don't realize that you do things without you doing them, like without you noticing them. I mean, like
it's on autopilot.
Yeah, it just happens. Like, and I went in there, and I'm like, I got out, and I'm like, what am I doing? Because it's just like you're used to it. That's just
what you do.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah. This is TMI, but like sit on the toilet. You get out your phone and you start scrolling.
When you're at the red light.
Yes.
When you are walking anywhere, you're on your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not even, I don't know, it's just,
If I look back and see, like, what, I'm like, I don't even know what I did on my phone for the last 20 minutes, but I picked up my phone to check an email or a text message that came in, and then I realized that I haven't even checked the message.
I know you haven't replied.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing, is like, we get so used to, okay, X happens, we do Y, you know, and then X happens and we do Y, and X happens and we do Y, and it just becomes so routine that we don't even realize that it then kind of slips into unhealthy or just problematic use of whatever it is. And like I always think that when people hear the word addiction, they kind of like either shut down, because they're like, oh, there's no way I would ever be addicted to anything. Right. Like I would never be that kind of person. And so they kind of shut down, or they turn up their nose at whoever is the addict, right? They're like, oh, they're just a bad person. Like, they should have more self-control. But if we stop and think about it.
Judgmental. And we do it all the time, like, subconsciously sometimes. We're like, oh, well, Teresa's always, you know, like, oh, what makes you better than, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But we all have them. Whether it's you being on social media all day, or drinking a lot of coffee, or watching a lot of TV, being a couch potato, or being addicted to soda, chips, candy.
Yeah. Sugar.
He fasted from that though.
Oh, yeah.
He did.
Sugar is a big one. I recently met someone who is highly addicted to sugar and overeating. Yes, and she kept using the recovery world terminology. Like when you're in recovery and you're in a 12-step program, there's words that they use, you know, and you know if someone's in a 12-step program, it's always confidential. Like, you're not supposed to talk about people that you meet there, but you know, based on the way that they talk. And the words that they use. And I was like...
She's analyzing me right now.
No, but I knew she was in recovery. Like, I could tell, right? I could tell by the way she was talking. And so I asked her, I said, like, what are you in recovery for? And she said, everything. And I was like, okay, all right, I get that. Yeah, but break it down for me. And so the more we talked, like, it was overeating, it was sugar, it was it was sex, it was all these things, right?
That you wouldn't
That
think.
are normal
Yeah.
behaviors. And for a lot of people, emotional eating, like we use it as like a joke, right? Like she's emotionally eating. Like when my daughter's had a bad week, she'll say, I'm eating my emotions, and she'll sit down with like a tub of ice cream.
And we think it's funny.
Right.
Because we've seen this in movies and people even, it's a figurative speech.
Right.
When we're like, for example, me, this is a funny story, okay? I'm still young, but back in my younger days when, my daughter was smaller, anyways, I went shopping, and then I realized I was going through something at the time.
Yeah.
So I just went shopping because it made me feel good, and I love looking, having nice things to wear, because a girl can never not have enough outfits or pants or shirts or shoes, whatever,
Our closet can never be too full.
Yes, yeah, and we still don't find anything to wear. That's just, yeah. Sorry, it's hard being a girl, okay? So I went shopping, and I was like, I felt that guilt afterwards. It felt good when I was doing it, because I was like, I was feeding, I guess, that emptiness or whatever it was. I don't know if it was anxiety or stress. I know I was just doing it because I was feeling some type of way. Then afterwards, I was like, I looked at everything, and I was like, oh my God, I don't even need this stuff. Like, I don't even like this. This is not even my color. I mean, no.
Yeah.
The next day, I returned half of the stuff, and the girl was like, well, what's wrong with this? Why are you returning? Because they always ask that. And I was like, I did emotional shopping.
Yeah.
And I guess it was the first time she heard of that. I mean, I didn't know what that was either.
Yeah.
Until I did it, and I caught myself, and I was like, I did emotional shopping.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the clothes. And she just looked at me like, okay. And I just returned everything. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of where I want to bring light to with this podcast, is like showing people that recovery, quote unquote recovery, isn't just for people who are addicted to heroin or to drugs. Yeah. Because we are all going through things, right?
We're all human beings, and we all have different struggles.
Yes.
We all have different ways of
coping with those struggles. And it's okay to use certain things to cope for the short time, for a short period. Yeah. But when that coping mechanism crosses over into problematic or habitual, it's habitual, problematic, and then that's when you then start creeping into addictive behavior, right? Yeah. And so I want us to be able to help people avoid things in their lives becoming habitual and then becoming problematic, right? So it's a good thing to have a good habit, right? But you have to keep it there, because you love to work out. I do. But there are people out there who have killed themselves or severely injured themselves because they got so addicted to working out that they
is
did
such
it.
A thing. I see gym rats. Oh, they're not gym rats. I don't know. I'm not judging. I work. Well, at my gym, there's all types of people. There's older people. There's younger people. There's beginners. There's bodybuilders. And then there's me,
normal people,
which just wears cute outfits to the gym and pretend I work out and just post a picture to show everybody on social media how healthy I am. I'm just kidding. I don't wear cute outfits to the gym. I don't. I just wear an oversized t-shirt.
Yeah,
leggings,
I was
whatever.
gonna say you look pretty standard. And you do work out
because I'm shy. I'm shy. I'm not. I admire the girls that do that have the cutest outfits. They match the socks and the shoes and the ear. Everything when they go to the gym, they look amazing. But that's not me. I'm shy, and I am very. I can be, a little like
Yeah.
modest. I guess because I feel some type of way because it's a man's world in there.
Yeah.
Or
it
at
can
least
be very intimidating.
yes, because it's yeah. So when girls go in there, there's like I feel like okay, I'm a girl.
Yeah.
I'm working out, and I can be here too.
Yeah.
It's just it's a different kind of
Yeah.
for women.
Yeah,
But there are people in the gym who are addicted to going to the gym because the gym working out does make you feel good. Sometimes
it releases endorphins.
Yes, it does.
Releases all the good
It does.
neurotransmitters. So it feels good, right?
Yeah.
And it feels good. It makes you healthy.
Yeah.
So what's
and it makes
wrong?
you look good.
Right, and it makes you look good.
Yeah, when you start losing fat and gaining muscle and you see results, you're like, oh, no more spandex. I mean, you're like, okay, now I have to go to the gym and hit harder. Now I eat more salads. Now, it's just, it becomes a thing that sneaks up on you too. You become like, I guess,
compulsive and obsessive
yes,
with it. Yeah.
Yes. So it's all about balance and it's hard. It's hard because I find myself too like I want a cheeseburger, but I should be eating a salad or and it's always those things because you see people that have been going to the gym for a very long time and they look amazing.
Yeah.
And then people who just started like you
Mm-hmm.
and they look a little better than you because I don't know what they're doing. I want to know. So then it starts hitting me like, what am I doing? Do I need to lift heavier? I need to eat more greens. I need to stop eating those cookies Trees against me. I need to stop saying yes to my husband whenever he wants to give me tacos. Like I need to just be a good girl and eat my salad. No, it's just those things.
But what you said about balance, like that is the key to having the things that make you feel good. Now, am I saying that you can balance a little bit of heroin with No.
Not what she's saying.
No, but there is a danger. Like, so when I work with clients who are trying to get sober from drugs or alcohol, right? Like, life still happens.
Yeah.
You aren't going to, like, get sober and somebody waves their magic wand and nothing bad is ever going to happen to you. Life still happens. People still die. People still get sick. Like, kids get taken away. Like, that's just, life continues. But how do you cope with life without using the things that got you into that obsessive, problematic behavior level, right? And so, like, I feel like porn these days is such a huge industry, right? Like the sex industry is huge.
I mean, I like watching Netflix, but I've noticed that in every movie or series there is that I'm enjoying, there always has to have like a sex scene. And to me, it's annoying sometimes because it's such a good story and it's like, oh, okay. Sometimes I'm like, yay, okay, he's maybe gonna, But sometimes I'm like, okay, that's too much. Like, can we, some things can do without that. Yeah.
And I think, like, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on porn, but I can see how it could help some people get through certain seasons of life.
Right. Because it does release what? Like,
the endorphins,
exactly.
the oxytocin, like all the good, feel-good things, right?
Yeah.
Because it releases those. So I can see where it might have its benefits, and I'm sure somebody's going to come after me for that. But I can totally see where it could, in small doses, be beneficial for some people. However, porn addiction is a big deal. It is a huge problem. Yeah. And it's like, how do you find that fine line? Same thing with sex addiction. If you're married, or if you plan on getting married, you're gonna have sex. Yeah. So, like, with heroin addicts, alcoholics, we tell them...
I heard that when married people or just people in relationships watch porn, or just, I guess, anyone who watches porn, it kills the romance. It kills the essence of connection between one another. So then you stop looking at your partner as as I guess someone, you know, in an intimate way. You stop that.
You objectify them. They turn into an object.
Exactly. Like something you can just use and dispose anytime. It's like just for your needs. You lose that connection. What's supposed to be I guess a thing that is supposed to connect you and get you closer to your loved one, it's become more like how do you call it?
Becomes like a wedge.
Yeah. Like it's just like, okay, you lose that feeling, you lose that connection because you're just focused on whatever it is that you.
Yeah, it really does, and you no longer have that. Yeah, I'm struggling to like put it in words, but you no longer see your spouse as your spouse. You see them as an object to fulfill your desires, and it is an unrealistic image of a woman,
an
like
expectation, right?
Yeah, because sorry, but all the porn stars have had a lot of work.
Not natural.
Not
Not natural.
Very few are actually bored that way. But no, it does. And so, like, how do you keep these behaviors, these things? Shopping, like you were talking about shopping. You can't avoid shopping for the rest of your life. So how? You can't. You just can't.
I still work in the stores, okay? I don't shop anymore, actually. That's a lie. I still go shopping to the stores I still do.
Yes.
I just do it online now.
Well, and online shopping can become problematic behavior, right? So how do you find that balance? How do you know when you are out of balance?
Yeah.
Like, so let's start there.
Have you seen that movie, the Shopaholic?
Oh, yeah.
What is it called?
So.
And she is the that's a movie, but the person who wrote the book is one of my favorite authors. I have like 7 books of hers.
Yeah. Is it like
Sophie
the
Confessions? Sophie Kinsella. The
Confessions of a Shopaholic.
I've seen that movie and I was like, oh, it's so funny, but I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
Yeah, it's so easy to just do something innocently, and then it becomes an issue because you don't have boundaries, you don't have a limit. You are like just doing it composedly because you are trying to fulfill or gain a feeling that you don't have because that's temporarily satisfying you. Yeah. But in the long run, it's not, and it just leaves you craving more and more and in debt too. Don't do it.
Yeah. So that's perfect answer. Like, of course, like not everything is a officially diagnosable issue, right? Like the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, has very specific items in there that are considered addiction disorders, right? And I can't think off the top of my head right now, but behaviors, there's very few in the DSM. There's alcohol, there's all the substances, right? But behaviors, there's very few. And so I always want to tell people, I'm like, you have a problem, but there's no official, black and white diagnosis for it. But that is, so that's why I asked, like, how do you know if you have ventured into the problematic behavior category? And I think you said it spot on. Okay. Because if you look in the DSM for like substance-related disorders, there's criteria, and you have to meet X number of criteria to be considered that diagnosis, right? So that they say, oh yeah, she's got a substance use disorder, she's got an alcohol use disorder, whatever. There's very specific criteria, but some of them are like doing it or using it in spite of negative consequences. So you go out and you shop and you max out your credit cards, even though this is the second time your parents have had to pay your credit cards off, and here you are going into the store, and your husband said he's going to leave you if you max out another credit card.
No, my husband's out. We don't have that issue.
But those are the kinds of, like, you're doing it in spite of negative consequences, financial, physical, or emotional consequences.
Because good or bad, there are consequences.
Yeah. Or if you have cravings for it. And when you say the word craving, like, you immediately think of, oh, I'm craving sugar, oh, I'm craving a cookie, like that sort of thing. But you can crave a behavior. And it's like, you can't stop thinking about it, right? Like, you drive by Target and your heart starts to race a little bit and your palms get a little bit sweaty. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to Target. I'm not going to.
People who have this issue, Teresa.
Yes. And so, like, you're like, I'm not going to Target. I'm not going to Target. I'm not going to Target. And then you loop around the block, and next thing you know, you're in Target with your basket,
coffee, and you thought you were gonna go to the bullseye, and then the next thing you know, you're in the dressing room. And then you're like, I think my nephew needs this outfit, this shoes for my niece, or I need this, and
and so, like, those are the things that I would warn people to keep an eye out for. To know when things have gotten out of control. And it can be even like scrolling your cell phone.
It's hard though.
I know one of our friends who told me that her husband was like, you pay more attention to your phone than you do to me.
You know what? My husband did tell me that, and he told me the kids were complaining that I was constantly on my phone. And it hurt me. It annoyed me a little bit. And I think that was me not wanting to accept it.
Exactly.
But I knew he was right. I knew he was right. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And I didn't like that because I tend to be a very present and in the moment when I'm with my kids or at home. Because I'm like, oh, I'm out of work. I don't have to worry about this. And it's just like relaxed time. But no, I was like zoning out and just being on my phone instead of just relaxing, instead of just I was on my phone, just laying down, eating.
And I think you brought up another good point of, like, another thing that I would say is a key indicator that you might have ventured off into the problematic behavior zone is if you get angry or frustrated when someone confronts your behavior. Because, I mean, if you think about it, like, think about all the movies we've seen where addicts are confronted with their behavior or there's an intervention and they storm off, right? Because we are in denial that we have a problem. And when people point out your issues, your immediate reaction, like, your knee-jerk reaction is to deny it, avoid it, and leave the situation. And so, like, how are you reacting when someone brings a behavior to your attention?
Well, that's the way that I reacted when he pointed it out. I was annoyed because I was like, you're telling me what to do. We don't like being told what to do, especially as adults. Especially when your spouse tells you something, you're like, those are fighting words. But, I mean, I am mature enough to know that he was right and do that self-acknowledgement and be like, you know what, babe, you're right. But it takes a lot to admit that, to look inward and say, you know what, I do have a problem and I need help, or you're right, I need to take a break. But it's not easy. It's not easy. And sometimes you need a constant reminder, like, hey, babe, you're on the phone, or like, hey, the kids are around, like, hey, and
and so that is another way that you can tell if you've drifted into the problematic zone is because if you try to quit and you can't. So it's in the DSM, it's like multiple attempts at cessation, multiple attempts at quitting without success. And so, like, have you tried to give this up and been unable to give it up on your own? Like, have you tried? And if you've tried and failed and tried and failed, it might be a sign that you need to get some help.
You need help. I need help. Teresa, I don't have a problem. Okay? People sending me reels. They're the problem. My sister's calling me, texting me, my friends. I mean, I'm not the problem. The problem is the people.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. So what do you say to people like that? Who
say that? I'm like, okay. We can only control our reaction to what other people do.
Yeah.
So you can't stop them from sending you the reels.
No.
But you can change the way that you respond to their action. So they send the reel. You can just send a emoji back, like a Latin cry. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Which I watch them. I do. I watch them. But I've learned to set boundaries, right?
Yes.
So I will wait until the end of the day to actually watch all the reels that you send me. My mom sends me, like, I get reels from everybody. I send people reels. But that is a boundary that I have set around my time with my phone. So we kind of talked about this earlier, where I said if I pick up my phone, it'll be 20 minutes later before I actually do what it was that I picked up my phone to do because I've gotten distracted, right? And I was addicted to meth for a long time, and then I drank heavily, right? So I know how easy it is for me to slip into the problematic behavior level, like that zone, right? So I am very cognizant of what I'm doing, and I set boundaries around stuff, and I try to find ways to avoid becoming obsessive with the wrong things. And so I actually recently hooked up my phone to my laptop so that my notifications come through my laptop from my phone. So I see all of the notifications, but the only ones that I can actually check and respond to on my laptop are phone calls and text messages. So
yeah, I think I have that too, but I don't do it on my laptop, and I have the watch. So for me, when I'm working, I just do this, and I actually don't have time. So I think once I'm out of work, that's when I'm like, now I can check all this and this and this, and that's when usually when I get home and I'm around my kids, and I know that that's the time where I should be focusing on other things, but I guess that's my like, I'm tired from work, I'm just gonna do like a social media break or like whatever, and then that's when it happens. But it is very important. The cat's smelling my shoes.
Yes. Now all the animals are in the shot. Just have a zoo.
Can you
here.
tell we're spiritual people?
Yes.
Animals are just naturally drawn to us. Look at this cat. It's so cute.
She's like, let me down.
Yeah, let me go.
But yeah, so I try to put like parameters. I will set aside 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon to scroll my phone. And then my husband every day plays the video game. So while he's doing that, I will use that as time to scroll my phone. But once he's done, like that's our time together. Yeah. And a lot of times we do watch movies or TV. Yeah. And there's times where I recognize that movie, TV time is getting in the way of actual intimacy and conversations and getting to know each other still.
Connection, just...
Yeah. And so, like, I have to take a step back and say, okay, I see that this is becoming a problem. What are we going to do to fix it? Yeah. And for me, fixing it, and maybe this is what we close on for this first episode, but, like, I'll say, like, for me, fixing something that I feel is venturing off into the problematic zone means taking quick action that is like meaningful. Yeah. So for the example of my husband and I, like when I start to realize that we've spent and right now we're creeping up on it. And we both love TV,
Mm-hmm.
so it's very easy for us to do this. And we start creeping up on like 3 weeks, and we haven't like gone out and done something together. Then I'm like, okay, we need to stop. We're gonna go on a date night. We're not gonna watch TV this weekend, and we're just gonna do things together. And so it's quick action. It's practical. It's doable. It's measurable because like you can measure the fact that we went out on a date night, and it's effective. Like it does what I want it to do. Like the whole point of us watching TV together is to have together time, right?
Yeah.
But it's removing the intimacy part.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So my reaction to that is to then create an opportunity for us to spend time together and relax, but also have time together to connect.
Right.
And
because it's very important. I think us as humans, we crave that connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's why we have social media, to connect with others. Because we all want that. We all want to be seen. We all want that good feeling to know that someone's there and that someone cares and that we are, I guess, just, not left and we're not alone.
Yeah.
So one thing I loved about not being on social media and fasting from it was how much free time I had on my hands.
Yeah.
Like, I cleaned my house. My house was staying clean too.
Yeah.
And I was able to do more things. And I guess I was like less anxious. Like I wasn't worried about checking up on my friends' stories or anything. I was just more like, whatever, that can wait. And I felt more relaxed. I wasn't, I guess, overstimulated with that. And it was really nice. But then once I had it back, I was back into it. And then I'm like, okay, I need to step back because this is why I fasted from it. Because I don't want to have this be interfere with my personal life and my connection and bonding time with my children and my husband. And I mean, what examples am I setting for them? Like, you can just, like, whenever you have an issue or whenever you're feeling overwhelmed or however you feel, you can just go on your phone and everything's solved. And that's not something I'm trying to mirror to my children or, because it's like, okay, we all want connection, we all want this, but this is an escaping world. We don't need that. You need like something that is real that you're not gonna need in order for you to, I guess, feel better or just,
Yeah. I always say our coping mechanisms should fuel us. They should replenish us.
Yeah.
And they should leave us feeling better than we did before without shame.
Yeah.
Because if you cope with something like your shopping example. Like
that was a long time ago. I still shop. Okay.
But it's a perfect example because you were feeling bad.
Yeah.
You shopped. And then you felt shame.
Yeah, I did.
And that is a good indicator that something is problematic. Because shopping is not innately bad, right?
No,
like shopping is not bad.
Everyone does it and you need to shop sometimes.
And going out to the store.
You need to
you do. And I shop when I'm sad.
Please shop away.
I shop when I'm sad sometimes. Like when I'm sad, I like to go look for a really bright colored pink skirt or like something that's going to make me feel a little bit happy. Yeah. The difference though is that you felt the shame afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was most likely because you kind of blacked out.
Yeah.
And used the shopping as a Band-Aid, as a cover-up, as a quick fix.
Really rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were using it as a quick fix pill, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Is like you were using it as a quick fix versus you were using it as a leisurely.
Instead of talking about what I was going through, or because at the time I was going through something, but I guess I didn't have anyone available, like emotionally, or just someone to be there with me. So I guess my way of like, I guess just coping with it.
Yeah.
Was like, okay, what I really need is to talk about it, and I need, just to someone to listen and be there for me. But instead, I was like, okay, I need to feel better because I'm going through this, so I'm just gonna, like, I don't know, I just went to the store and I just thought stuff, and I'm like, oh, it makes me feel better. And then I was like, okay, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, and it's like what we really need when we're going through something is connection. We need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
We need to be understood. Yeah, exactly. And whenever you turn to things like drugs, alcohol, shopping, food, sex, porn, like whatever it is, exercise, binge eating, like that does not give you connection. That does not make you be seen and heard.
Some people actually do the opposite. Some people, when they're going through something, they don't always do that. Instead, they close off.
Yeah, they'll isolate.
Isolate. And I'm guilty of that as well. I've done it before. But it's because you don't want to be judged.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk. You don't want anyone to see you in that state. So you're just like, I'm going to stay in this little cocoon till the time passes me. And I'm going to,
And I think that's healthy for some people, but
it can also be very unhealthy.
It can be very unhealthy because then you bury everything deep down, and it's what goes down must come up.
Right.
It's just the rule of life. And so if you don't deal with those emotions, they stay buried under the surface until someone scratches just the right spot and then whoosh,
triggers it, boom, you're a ticking bomb.
Yeah. Well, yay! So hopefully we have imparted with you some wisdom on recognizing when something has crossed over into the problematic zone, because that is what we are focusing on. We want to help you build a successful, purpose-driven, joy-filled life that does not depend on substances, behaviors to leave you feeling fulfilled. Like, we want you to live a fruitful, full, purposeful life.
Yes.
And we're here to help you do it. So it has been great. Yes. I'm so excited to have Rosie on as my co-host and my new partner in crime. It's going to be great. But yes, stay tuned for the next episode of the Bella Grace podcast. Bye.